As a lead worshiper, what do you feel is the most important thing, for example, for a drummer to be thinking about during a service? What if you could tell all drummers?
Sure.
Do you have that
all
opportunity
drummers,
right now?
man, work with a metronome. Like, obviously, a drum machine or a metronome. I mean, it's like you're the timekeeper. I mean, if you want to be in front of the spotlight, then you should have been the lead singer and guitarist or something. But the fact is, your role is you are the timekeeper, but you are the foundation, period. So, am I looking at that camera or that camera?
Look at that one right there.
All right, I'm looking at you in the eye on purpose, all right? So get yourself a metronome. The guy at my church, he had a 30-minute commute to work each way, and he would just have a metronome, and he'd like drive with one hand. It was just a straight highway, and he'd have a drumstick, and he would just like tap on his dashboard. I could tell after a few months, I kept turning around going, bro, I don't know what you're doing, but everything just feels like tight. It's got authority. It just feels strong. What are you doing? He's like, well, I've been really, working with a metronome, my commute every day, and I think that's helping me. I'm like, I totally hear it. So drummers work with a metronome every day. In fact, all musicians, including guitarists, like tick, 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 tick. You've got to. And so the metronome is like the common denominator, and it'll just give your band more authority and the natural affects the spiritual. So when your band is playing, same with bass players, when you're playing eighth notes, boom, 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 tick, 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 tick. When you and the drummer are lined up, that's the foundation of the house. Everything else is built on that. Electric guitars, typically, once the foundation is laid, the drum and bass is just like boom, boom, ga, boom, boom, ga, boom, boom, ga. In fact, it's worth having rehearsals maybe come 30 minutes before the rest of the band comes once in a while on rehearsal, and just you and the drummer, bass and drum, just boom, 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 boom. Just play some familiar choruses and just find that tempo and just lock in together. So, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yep.
Many of you already know this, and it can sound like, oh, man. And if you haven't worked with the metronome, you probably will go out and get one. In fact, right now, I want you to just put your hand over your left ear. Want you to do that, Daniel?
Yeah, sure.
Just want to make sure what I'm saying doesn't go in one ear and come out the other.
That's good.
I mean, a little levity, but I mean it, because it's easy for us to dismiss and be like, oh man, but I want to work on this, like, like Daniel does, Seriously, you're the timekeeper, man. You're the timekeeper. Is that like the Matrix? He was the keymaster.
I was thinking of that dude running
like
the key.
The timekeeper. The keeper of the time. Man, you drive the bus, okay? Boom, boom, gah. As soon as you add a drummer, that's why, let me just say this, I'd rather have no drummer than a bad drummer. So if you are a drummer, then I beg you, as the Apostle Paul said, I beseech you by the mercies of God, practice with the metronome every day. When I went to music school, the serious drummers used to sleep with a metronome under their pillow at night.
That is serious.
Imagine that, man. So just throwing that out there. Unless you're married, then it might be an issue. But you could just put a little headphone in.